Game Night is presented by Power Business Technology, your locally owned and managed Toshiba copier dealer. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or visit them at powercopiers.com. Here's your host, Scott Marsh, alongside the high flyer, Henry Turner.
And a very pleasant good afternoon to you. Welcome into Game Night right here, Sactown Sports 1140. I hope you're enjoying the holiday weekend here. Hope you had a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Lots of good food, lots of good family. And I hope you are taking it easy if you're out on the roadways. I know they are slammed right now. It was slammed getting into the studio. So take your time. We're going to take you all evening long. The High Flyer and I, we've got you for Game Night right here. And Henry's going to be stuck with me for a while today because Jason Ross is out. Sacramento State is in the NC2A football playoffs. He's back in North Dakota with the Hornets. That means I'll be filling in on pre-half and post as well. Sacramento trying to finish out the 6-game homestand with a winning record. Obviously, it did not go well in New Orleans, losing twice to the Pels. Second game better than the first, but still ended up with a loss. The Pelicans holding on to beat the Kings 117-112. High Flyer, first of all, food still sitting in the belly from last night?
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, I'm going to spin the block again as soon as I get home. I want a little bit of everything.
Now, I need to hear the Turner table from yesterday.
Wow, Scott. On the meat side, you got ham.
Yep.
You got turkey, and you have chicken.
Yep.
All right. Of course, we just got the regular stuffing. On the sides, we got mac and cheese. We got red beans and rice. We have collard greens. We have yams, cornbread,
okay.
Peach cobbler, and sweet potato pie.
You got all the fixins.
Oh, yeah. It goes down big time at my spot.
Well played. Very good. Well, I had to kind of wallow my way in here as well today. Had a very great, very happy Thanksgiving with family, as it should be. And again, hopefully all of you did out there as well. Kings in Minnesota tonight. It's a big one. Not only is it finishing out the 6-game homestand, but the Timberwolves may be the best team in the league right now. They're 7-0 at home. They're 11-3 overall. It's a play-in game as well for the tournament. And of course, for the Kings, they don't want to come home having lost 3 straight.
You don't. You really don't. When you look at the short term, I mean, Scott, we can look at this road trip in many different ways, because you could look at it, okay, they started strong. They went out, they took care of business. They got enough wins to say, okay, it's a positive road trip. When you go out 6 games, you bring home 3 W's, you should feel pretty good about yourself. That's one way you can look at it. The second way you can look at it says, well, they lost 3 games straight on the way out. So it's always a yin to a yang. I think the most important part of this game right now tonight is that, okay, number one, if you win, you come home 4-2. But number 2, you need this for that in-tournament win.
Yes.
That in-tournament play, you need this game tonight.
No doubt, to secure that, or at least have a great shot of getting that first spot, because Minnesota's undefeated right now. So Sacramento and Minnesota is still vying because the Kings are 2-0 as well. So, I mean, first place for the play-in is on the line.
Right. So that's where the importance of this game really ramps up.
All right, we'll get into all of that and more. Henry and I will be with you for game night until 4:30, and then Kings Live pregame comes up at 4:30. We'll have you for that as well. If you want to join in, you can call us 916-339-1140. That's 916-339-1140. The YouTube chat is up as well. Go to Sactown Sports on YouTube. You can get into the chat room there. You can watch this program. All right. Kings got down again in New Orleans. It looked like it was going to be more of the same. They were down at the half by double figures. They fought their way back, made it close, couldn't pull it out 117-112. The positive is that obviously they fought back and just didn't lay down like they did on Monday night. Of course, the negative is they still lost.
Still lost, but I think the Kings had a chance to see some positive things out of that game. Number 1, Trey Lyles is back.
Yes, huge positive.
Trey Lyles is back, and it gives you a whole different dynamic of how the Kings can play on the offensive end. He looked like he hasn't missed a step. He was still knocking down threes. He was still able to get to the rack and score. I think, implementing him back into what they do is just going to stretch this team out even further. They're going to get better and better. But when they ran up against New Orleans, Scott, once again, I think the length, the size, and the strength really hurt the Sacramento Kings.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And Lyles off the bench, 28 minutes, 12 points, 8 rebounds. He was a factor. He looked great, and it's good to see him 100% because he missed a lot of time all the way back to the preseason, and we're just always concerned about him. But Trey Lyles was 100%.
Yeah, he looked good, Scott. And like I said, that's going to be able to give the Sacramento Kings that different look offensively. Now, defensively, it's one of those things to where, you're going to have to come together collectively as a team. But I always thought last year when the Kings elected to put Trey Lyles at the 5, that's when their offensive potency was at his highest.
Yep. And to his credit, he tried to stop Zion as well. He took a couple charges. He got run over. If anything was going to put him back on the injured list, it was Zion.
And I look at Trey because, we don't get to see Zion every day.
Yeah.
I mean, we only seen him a couple of times for his whole career because he's been hurt. But, Trey's a big guy. He's solid.
Yes, he is.
It isn't like he's walking around here, 6'8", 210. No. The dude is built pretty good. And when I saw Zion pivot and transition and hit Trey with the shoulder and how far Trey bounced off of him, I'm like, whoa, okay. Yeah, this is big boy ball. This is for real. You're going to have to put on your big boy pants. This job ain't for the faint at heart.
No. Welcome back after being on the injured list with that awakening from Zion. But he did a terrific job. And, the Kings as a whole, I agree with you. They were exposed in this 2-game set. And the Pelicans, they're a really good team, but they're also a team that's athletic. They're strong. They get after you with your guards. They're a team that forces steals and gets out and runs. And let's face it, this is a Kings team that's still trying to learn how to deal with all of that.
It's a Kings team that like to run. I don't think that really hurt the Kings as much as New Orleans packed the paint.
Mm-hmm.
They're long, lean,
make
strong.
some threes.
They pack the paint.
Yep.
And they're long enough, Scott, to where they can get out and contest shots.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have a shot, a split second. If you don't take that shot right then and there, someone's there to guard you. Someone is flaring out from the paint to get to you. So I think that bothered the Kings more than anything else.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair too. The Kings were 15 of 44 from distance, so Minnesota could pack the paint. It was a strategy that was working because the Kings weren't great offensively. They were under 45% from the field. Williamson ended with 25 points, Ingram with 23. Down the stretch, De'Aaron was a little quiet in this game. And, he even at the end of the game, he finished with 26 points. He was still, had a really good game. But, he even commented after the game that he needs to be more aggressive. His comment was, obviously, they were blitzing ball screens, trying to get the ball out of my hands. But at the end of the day, I still have to be aggressive, regardless of what the defense is throwing at me.
And that's a catch-22 type situation, Scott. That's almost like it's Kobe Bryant-ish, to where teams are going to want to get the ball out of your hands and make other guys beat you.
Yep.
But the right play to make.
Right.
Okay? That a la LeBron James, when you drive down to the center, the big guy is going to jump at you, and that guy is open in the corner. That's the right pass to make. But for the Sacramento Kings, it starts and ends with De'Aaron Fox. He has to be aggressive, so that's where you have to go into the Kobe mode of a bad shot by me is better than a wide open shot by you.
No question. You at 80% is better than anybody else at 100%.
Right.
And that's where Mike Brown came in too. He said, quote, Fox is 100% correct. He's our guy. He's got to be aggressive, and he has to be more aggressive in a 1 or 2 possession ball game going down the stretch, especially when we're struggling to score.
Right. Yep. All of that comes with an all-star tag. All that comes with the financial tag, the clutch player of the year tag. All of that comes with that responsibility. You have to be the guy. No one's going to look at Keegan Murray, even though Keegan didn't play.
Right.
No one's going to look at Keegan Murray and say, okay, Keegan, you got to step it up at the end of the game. No, the first look is Fox. The second look is Sabonis.
Yep. That is very true. And by the way, no Keegan again tonight. He's been ruled out for tonight's game. We'll have a full injury report for you coming up. But unfortunately, the Kings will be without Keegan Murray tonight against the Timberwolves. You mentioned Sabonis and Domas. It was 23 points, 9 rebounds for him.
That's a nice night.
It was a very nice night for Domas. There was a little controversy at the end of the game in terms of the last 2 minutes where Sabonis, it looked like possibly there was a non-foul not called in that game with Zion Williamson. I know you do not like the 2-minute report. I understand that is not your favorite thing, but they did come out on the 2-minute report late in that game. And again, you remember that play where they said it was a no call against Sabonis, but they said Zion Williamson that would have negated the basket by Ingram, giving the Kings a chance to tie the game in the final seconds. So that was the play it was about 22 seconds left to go in the game. The sequence was the Pelicans inbounded the ball. Mm-hmm. Ingram drove right around the screen from Williamson, dunked over him. Extended his left arm into his face.
Elbowed Sabonis in the head.
Yes. According to the last 2-minute report, as Ingram removed his left hand from the ball, marginal contact occurs with Sabonis. Marginals, I always love how they use marginal, right? Because that looked like more than marginal to me at the head neck area. Contact to an opponent's head face can be deemed marginal when the result of a natural basketball move, provided the contact is not disproportionate or uncontrolled. So that part they were saying was a correct no call. However, they were saying that Zion Williamson should have been called. He extended his left leg forward into Barnes' path and delivers contact with his side during the pick.
Oh, really?
That's what it says.
So they're going to be more subjective to a hip check than they are a elbow and forearm to the jaw.
Yeah, the basket should not have counted.
Yeah.
It was an illegal screen against Harrison Barnes, who was guarding Ingram as he drove to the basket.
Now you see why I don't like the 2-minute report. Even the jargon is like, yeah, whatever.
Marginal?
Yeah, marginal.
Really?
No pun intended.
Let's ask Domas about that after.
Exactly. The man is sitting there holding his jaw, blood coming out of his mouth, but it was just marginal. Okay.
Yeah. Now, the good news, of course, I mean, the Kings did win the fourth quarter 33-24. They competed hard. They played physical down the stretch. Maybe it took them too long to get to that place, but these are one of those games. Maybe they did learn something here, and that will be something that they'll take forward with them.
You know, Scott, I finally thought that, in the fourth quarter, the Kings played at their pace. I thought quarters 1, 2, and 3, they still played at New Orleans pace. When the Kings get up and down and they push the basketball, man, they're one of the best teams in the business in transition and one of the hardest teams to guard. They get easy shots. They make shots at a very high rate. But when they slow it down and start walking that ball up and have to get into a half-court set and have to be methodical, they're not the team that we, has come accustomed to watching.
Yeah, especially if they're not shooting the ball extremely well. Although it was the 3-point shot that got them back into the game, and Trey Lyles in particular.
It was the 3-point shot that got them back in the game, true enough. But did you see how they were getting the threes? Very aggressive, driving into the middle hard, spraying out to the 3-point line. That's speeding up the tempo.
Yeah.
When you're just running a high pick and roll and waiting for somebody to come off the screen, waiting for the roller to roll, waiting for the other guys, that's where the Kings get into trouble, because all of a sudden you waste all that action because it's out at the 3-point line, and then you settle for a 3-point shot.
All right, game night's underway. It's the Kings and the Timberwolves tonight. We'll take your phone calls, 916-339-1140. Join us in the YouTube chat room at Sactown Sports. We'll be talking there during the breaks as well. If you're on the roadways, just take it easy. We know it's busy out there. We'll keep you hopefully entertained all afternoon and evening long right here on Sactown Sports. Game night's always brought to you by Power Business Technology. Experience how the Power family can help your business office equipment needs today. Contact them at 844-POWER-BZ or go to powercopiers.com. More of Game Night right here. Sactown Sports, 1140.
All righty. We are live on YouTube.
Kyle, how are you, my man? Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I had a nice Thanksgiving. I was here at the station for
Nothing
the evening
like
of Thanksgiving.
Well, at least you got to listen to the Niners blow out the Seahawks. That was nice there, High Flyer. I know you're a huge Niners fan.
Oh, for sure. They needed that.
They did. That was a big division game right there.
Yeah, they needed that because they're right there in Seattle. Who are they playing next?
They've got the Eagles.
They got the Eagles next, and then come right back and play Seattle again.
Correct.
Right. So to get that one, that was a tone setter. You got number one because it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough if whatever happens with the Eagles happens, but then you come back, play Seattle once again, and you already won one game, so you got kind of got something up under the blanket.
Yep, no doubt. And they've certainly have come all the way back since losing 3 straight. This team's found its mojo again, won 3 straight. Kyle.
Yeah, San Francisco 49ers are looking like the second best team in the NFC. Yeah, now we'll see what happens against the Eagles.
Did you get any food at least yesterday?
We did our Thanksgiving on Wednesday, so I had leftovers here at the station yesterday.
Okay. All right, you're starting to look a little frail. I'm worried about you.
That's just me always.
All right.
I mean, I am incapable of putting on weight. That is shout out to the skinny army, but we cannot put on weight.
Keep getting old.
It'll come.
It'll come
eventually.
It'll be there for you. What do we get going on in the chat room?
Okay, so you mentioned that this is an in-season tournament game tonight for the Kings.
It is.
And you mentioned that them and Minnesota are both 2-0.
Yes.
So to clarify, NBA PR released what the clinching scenarios were for tonight.
Yes, let's hear them.
And if Minnesota beats the Kings, they clinch Group C. They've won the group. It's over. They're advancing as the winner of the group. Sacramento, if they win,
they would have the head-to-head.
They would have the head-to-head against them and against the Warriors.
Yeah, because the Warriors could still get the 3-1.
Yes, but Minnesota would have the head-to-head against Sacramento and the Warriors.
Okay.
Sacramento has a chance to clinch tonight.
Yeah.
They can win Group C if they win against Minnesota and Golden State loses to the Spurs. Now, again, highly unlikely that Golden State loses to the Spurs.
Yeah.
But
Spurs have lost 9 straight now? 10 straight?
Something like
9
that.
or 10. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if they were to upset Golden State and if Sacramento were to win this game, Sacramento wins Group C.
Yep.
And the most likely scenario is Sacramento will win. Golden State will play them on Tuesday. And if Sacramento wins, they win the group. And if they lose, it's a crazy 3-way tiebreaker.
Yeah, it potentially could come down Kings, T-Wolves, and Warriors all being 3-1. There is that possibility. Yeah, so we'll see. We'll continue to break that all down as well. Good job there, Kyle.
All right.
Amazon gift card on selected vehicles. Now through Monday, shop your truck headquarters, Folsom Lake Ford. See dealer for details.
I like it. Very timely. We got the Minnesota Timberwolves, a little Prince. Oh, I miss Prince. Tell you what. That raspberry beret.
Hey, Prince was one of the best.
Now I know what Scott's favorite music is.
Oh, that brings me back in time. How about Morris Day in the Time and Purple Rain? That was a good era, High Flyer.
You wasn't out there doing the bird, was you, dog?
It was more like the duck, but I thought it was the bird.
$7779311.
I tell you what. Welcome back in the game now right here. Sactown Sports 1140 Kings and Timberwolves play in game. Both teams are 2-0. So a lot riding on this one. If you want to join the program, you can. 916-339-1140. Now, Henry, you might notice I've got Casserole High School gear on.
I see that.
It's my alma mater. See our hat.
Nice.
Today, I just came from Hughes Stadium where the Fighting Casserole Rams just won the section football championship.
Nice.
They won it on a last-minute touchdown. It was 22-21 at that point. They went for the win, the 2-point conversion, got it, and won the game. 23-22.
That's how you go out, like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, that's right. You don't kick the extra point and try and win it in overtime. When you've got the chance, you take it.
No, Michael Jackson, high kick, grab crotch, and moonwalk up out of there.
I love it. So congratulations to the Casserole Rams, my alma mater. Good stuff there. And by the way, Michael Jackson, one of the players from UC Davis, we won't get too far off topic. We're coming back to Kings. Trent Tompkins, he did a Michael Jackson moonwalk after scoring a touchdown. Uh-huh. They run that in game day now. It's part of the game day open for college football.
I'm telling you, man, Michael Jackson, classic, baby. You can't get no better than that.
You can't get better than that.
No.
Yeah, absolutely cannot. All right, so Kings and T-Wolves tonight. It's game 6 of the 6-game road trip. Kings are 3-2 in this trip. Obviously, the Pelicans were too much for them. Minnesota tonight, this is a team that has really found its groove. As we said, a perfect 7-0 at home. Last time out, they beat Philadelphia. Now, it was without Embiid. Okay, fine. But they still got the win at home, 112-99. They're 11-3 overall. They have the right. W is a W. Nobody cares who's in the other uniform. The Ant-Man's averaging over 26 points a game. Karl Anthony Towns is playing inside, playing well over 20 points a game. This is a Minnesota team that's really found its groove.
You know what, Scott? I always felt like if Karl Anthony Towns got a little help, that he would be a total different player. I think, the first few years of Karl Anthony Towns' career, he was asked to be the guy on the offensive end and the defensive end. And I think that took a lot out of him. But now he has a serious anchor in Rudy Gobert down there to do the dirty work, and that kind of gives them a legitimate three. Rudy's not going to give you too much on the offensive end, but boy, he's going to give you a lot on the defensive end. Yeah. And I think that opens up a lot more for Cat on the offensive end because, he don't really have to worry about, rim protection and all the rebounds that he had to do prior to Rudy getting there. And Ant-Man is just stepping into his own. Yeah. I mean, he is just an all-star in the making, and he's getting better and better. So with them being able to play together now you're starting to see a pretty good Minnesota team, and they're winning some basketball games.
Yeah, no doubt. They're off to their franchise best start. That's saying a lot. I mean, the days of Garnett, and they had some really good teams.
Hey, all the Kevin Garnett, Spree Wills, and Kevin Loves, and, they're off to their franchise best. That just goes to show they got something cooking down there.
They do. It's working. According to Naz Reid, quote, everybody's here to win. Everybody has one goal. Everybody's got their money situation out of the way. Now we're here to play basketball and win the game. We're not really too much worried about anything other than that. When players are saying that, things are pretty good.
He said everybody
he got his money in the offseason.
Everybody got their bag. I like that.
We're ready to play now.
I like that. I tell you what, I like Naz Reid.
I do too.
I think Naz Reid is a guy that can pretty much start on any basketball team in the NBA, man, because he is that center he's not a hybrid. Yeah. He's not a hybrid, but he's not an old school either. No. He's right in the middle of that. He can score down low, right? Yep. He can run in transition. He blocks shots, grab rebounds. He's just not that 3-point threat.
True. That is true. But he's certainly coming off the bench is so valuable.
Oh, man, coming off your bench. I mean, between him and Montrezl Harrell, I thought those was the two best guys that did it as far as bigs coming off the bench.
Yeah, no question. And we talked about the big three with Gobert and Anthony Edwards and, of course, the big cat. But, they've got just such a steady point guard of Mike Conley, who's been so good for so long and so underrated.
Whenever you can bring a point guard in that has Mike Conley type talent, basketball IQ, work ethic, understanding how to win. They also have, Slow-Mo is still there. He's a staple, I mean, he's kind of like the brunt guy, the guy that does the dirty work. So they have all the makings of a good basketball team, Scott.
Yeah, they really do. And, again, I have to be honest, this was not a team that I thought would be playing this well this early on, but credit to them that the combination is working with Gobert and Anthony Edwards. They've got this thing going really well right now. Now, Jaden McDaniels, who's another big piece of theirs, he's going to be out tonight, so that'll affect them a little bit. But, this Kings-Minnesota rivalry, it's been a good one for a while. Everybody, thinks back to the Kings-Lakers days, and, of course, Kings-Mavs was so exciting with Nash and Nowitzki and all of that stuff. But I tell you what, back in the day, the Kings and T-Wolves had some great games. Great games, great series.
Yeah, because they were that last team. Because I'm thinking you're going back to the Mitch Richmond era.
Even right there, absolutely.
Yeah, right there with the Mitch Richmond era. And,
of course, going back to the Timberwolves in Game 7, we can't forget Weber missing the three-pointer in Game 7.
Yeah.
And that was really kind of the last gasp of the Kings run. That was when Chris came back from surgery and they didn't get by in the semifinal round, and they never really made a big run after that. Weber was traded, all that stuff.
But I think it was more so evident when, we still had Mitch. they had Kevin Garnett and Spreewell was on the squad with him, and a couple of other players. That's when Sacramento and Minnesota really locked horns, because they were that last team that was fighting for that last position to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, there was a couple of years where it was really, really close. You're absolutely right about that. And of course, the Timberwolves were a team similar to the Kings in the fact they had such a long drought of not making the playoffs as well. Like us, they broke it before we did, and now both teams are in really prime position here in the Western Conference. All right, let's take a look at the injury report for tonight. As we mentioned, no Jaden McDaniels for the T-Wolves. Jalen Clark's out. Jordan McLaughlin is out as well as Wendell Moore. For the Kings tonight, Colby Jones out with the hip. We mentioned Keegan Murray will sit out with that back. Keon Ellis continues to be out with his ankle. So those will be the players out for Sacramento.
What about Alex Len?
Alex Len is out for an indefinite period of time. Unfortunately, they're looking at probably 6 to 8 weeks with that ankle.
Wow. His high ankle injury was
pretty severe.
Yeah.
And that's tough because obviously when he came in, he played well. Now the Kings, again, with the depth, getting JaVale McGee even becomes that more important right now.
Right. Having JaVale was definitely a blanket, Scott, because right now, if you lose Lynn, you don't have McGee. Now it's Sabonis, and when Sabonis goes out, you don't get no bigger. All right, you don't have another guy that's going to shot block, another guy that's going to rim wreck. You have to go small and play small ball with Trey.
Yeah, and Trey obviously against Minnesota last year, as we've talked about a couple times on the show, but when Sabonis fouled out in that game in Minnesota last year, it was Trey Lyles who came in and won that game for the Kings in overtime.
And that might start being another avenue to where Mike Brown is going to start going to, because that lineup, Scott, was very, very successful. That lineup was able to score at such a pace that the other teams couldn't keep up with them. So when you start talking about playing at their best, getting up and down, running and gunning and scoring, that's the best lineup.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how much JaVale McGee plays tonight with this big Minnesota lineup as well. All right, when we come back, we're going to go around the league. Obviously, yesterday was an off day for the NBA. NFL took center stage. Every team but two teams played on Wednesday. Big slate here tonight. We'll get you caught up on everything and all the other news going on around the league. Game night being brought to you by the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento. This time of year especially, there are so many kids out there who could use a mentor. They come from single-parent households. They could use that adult influence in their lives. Could that be you? Do you have a heart of service? If so, call the Big Brothers and Big Sisters of Sacramento at 916-646-9300. or visit bbbs-sac.org to learn all about becoming a volunteer mentor. More of Game Night right here, Sactown Sports 1140.
All righty, we are live on YouTube.
What do we got, Kyle?
Some people are starting to preview the matchup tonight. They're thinking about how the Kings will match up with the size of the Timberwolves. Because if I remember correctly, I think the Timberwolves got 3 out of 4 that they played against the Kings.
They won both games here in Sacramento last year and split on the road.
Yeah, because I remember the everyone kept talking about length. Length is the thing that takes down the Kings.
Yep,
yeah,
kryptonite.
It's basically the same team. Jaden McDaniels was joking about, or Naz Reid was joking about everyone getting paid, but he got paid. Jaden McDaniels got paid. Rudy's gotten paid. Ant-Man's gotten paid. They're paying into the luxury tax on this team, and they wanted to make sure the core was intact.
Yeah, well, this core is intact right now and playing pretty well. And this was after they traded a lot of players, Henry, too. I mean, everybody remembers that trade with the Lakers. I still feel they just gave away Taurean Prince to the Kings last year, along with Vanderbilt. But I don't know. It seems to be working.
I mean, and let's talk about the biggest move that they made was sending my guy over to L.A.,
D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, sending D'Lo over to L.A. So, I think moving D'Lo and bringing Mike Conley really shifted their basketball team.
Yeah, it certainly made it a more mature team. It gave them a point guard who rather pass first than shoot first.
Gave them a point guard with a higher basketball IQ and understand how to win. Everybody out there on that floor, Scott, knows how to play, but not every player knows how to win.
Yeah.
And I think Mike Conley brings that more so. I know how to win mentality, then I can play.
Yeah, Minnesota did basically give those players away, and I think they got like second round picks for them, but it was more of like we just need to decide who our 8 guys are and go from there.
Well, that's the thing. They were so deep. I mean, their roster, if you had all those guys attached to it, my goodness, you're right. You wouldn't know how to play everybody. And Kyle, I know you liked Minnesota from the beginning. And the one thing that I don't think anybody's surprised about is just how good defensively they are. They're still one of the top teams in the league defensively.
Number 2, we were joking about this with Styles and Watkins. At the start of the season, who would have thought that your top 2 defensive teams in the NBA would be Orlando and Minnesota, huh?
I think Minnesota would have been up there for sure.
Yeah.
Orlando, surprise.
I mean, people have been down on Rudy Gobert, and they make the jokes about him, and his reputation among players is not as great. But I mean, whenever Rudy Gobert is at the focal point of your defense, it's going to be top of the league. And people forget Towns was out for 54 games last year, and when he came back, they had the number 1 defense in the league. So I thought they would be really good on the defensive side of the ball, and if they're smart, which it seems like they have been, they're just turning over their offense to Anthony Edwards.
I believe that whenever you put Rudy Gobert at your number 5, you're going to be at least top 5 in defense. Yeah. That's what this dude does. That's what he's known for. And let's keep it 100. You can say what you want about Rudy. You can feel however you want about Rudy. But he is a top 5 center in this league when it comes to blocking shots and grabbing rebounds.
It was only 2 years ago that he was the best player on the number 1 seed in the Western Conference.
Right there.
There you go. That says it all.
Yeah.
What else we got in the chat? Anything?
Yeah. Manny was asking about Anthony Edwards and how that's going to go through. We've only got like 30 seconds, so I'm trying to find something quick that
Lydia
we
P
can talk
says hi
about.
to you, High Flyer.
Well, I said hello.
High Flyer says right back. You can let her know. Hopefully you're listening, Lydia. Hi,
Yeah, I
Lydia.
hope you're listening on the chat. Orlando beat the Celtics earlier today. How about that?
That is a big win for them.
All righty. We're coming back in 10 seconds.
All right.
There, it's inside is Sabonis, a two-hand rip, a brilliant pass from De'Aaron Fox.
KHTKAM Sacramento, KYMX HD2 Sacramento.
Sactown Sports.
There we go. It's our Prince tribute. The Kings are in Minnesota tonight. You know, one thing I do want to do, High Flyer, I want to get to.
I like the name of the song.
I do. Some Purple Rain, baby.
That's right.
Tell you, one of the coolest things, Country in the Park, our country station, puts on a huge concert every year.
Mm-hmm.
We had Darius Rucker here one year.
Okay.
And he sang Purple Rain to close out his set.
Right.
And I kid you not, as he started singing, it started to rain.
Wow.
It was one of those moments where it's just like, is this Hollywood producing this? What's going on? Do we have misters here? It was raining. It just started when he started singing.
Nice.
It was
nice.
cool.
Okay.
It was extremely cool. No doubt about that. All right, game night here. Sactown Sports 1140. High Flyer and me will take you until 4:30. We're going to take you for a while tonight. Jason Ross is out. The Hornets are in the playoffs. Sac State football. They're in North Dakota, so I'll take over on the Kings broadcast with Henry for that. Of course, the G-Man will have the Collies in Minnesota ready to get you going. We'll get you updated on some scores today, including upset Orlando beating Boston. We'll talk about that, but we've got to go back to Wednesday night. Maybe the highlight of all the games going on was what happened between Chris Paul and Scott Foster. Again, Warriors sons. Lots of history between Chris Paul and longtime official Scott Foster. It was Scott Foster who threw Chris Paul out of the game. Steve Kerr unhappy. He picked up a tee about all of that stuff too. Situation happened 23 seconds left in the second quarter. Kevin Durant drew a foul on Paul. He disagreed with it as Durant lined up to shoot free throws. Paul was chirping at Scott Foster, and it didn't take long before Foster assessed his first technical foul, and just seconds later he hit him with his second, ejected Paul, and Paul was not very happy about that. I mean, he came out after the game and said it's personal between the whole thing. It's been a thing for a while, and it's personal.
Okay.
So
I mean, only he would know, him and Foster. But Scott, I know we have rules.
Yeah.
And you have to play by the rules. I'm a rule guy. I agree with that 150%. But some of these referees need to understand the game isn't about them.
Yep.
The game is about the players. No one came to see you. You're just a part of what's going on out here on the floor. But they take it personal, as Chris Paul say, and then they do have the ultimate end-all power to end a player's run. So, I don't know how you're going to police it. I don't know how you're going to fix it. But at the end of the day, it is in the referee's discretion whether he can throw you out or let you keep playing.
There's no doubt. Kerr saying, I think Chris deserved the first technical, but the second one was totally unnecessary. Everybody gets frustrated out there. So here's the history. So Foster and Paul, the last 13 playoff games that Chris Paul was in when Foster is a crew chief, you know what Chris Paul's record is in those 13 games?
What's that?
Well, one side's 13 and another side's 0. Do you want to guess which one's which? 0-13.
Wow.
Chris Paul's lost 13 consecutive playoff games with Scott Foster as the crew chief. So that could make it feel like it's personal, I'm sure. Paul's overall record dating back to 2008 with Scott Foster as a ref is 3-17. So
they got something going on.
There's something there, perhaps. Is it something where the league should maybe just not schedule Scott Foster to ref
Chris Paul
games with Chris Paul in there?
Do you give that much action to it to where you're going to be like, okay, you can't ref this guy? I mean, it's too many other players in the league to just, babysit Chris Paul. So, I mean, they're going to have to figure it out some way, somehow. How it's going to get done, I don't know. I mean, that's above my pay grade, Scott.
It's above mine, too. We're just talking about it. This is what Steph Curry had to say. He goes, with both the player and ref engaging conversation, that has to stay there. I told Scott that after he ejected him. There are certain situations where players overstep. There are times when you have to back off. But when both are engaging, I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, they are there at the situation. They see what's going on. They hear what's being said. So if Steph Curry came and said they were both engaging, okay, Chris Paul was saying some things, Scott Foster was saying some things. So, who's going to be the judge, jury, and convictioner here?
We know who's going to be that.
And that's tough because, they, like I said, at the end, he has to end the end all be all say, get out.
Yep. Paul wrapped up the press conference by saying, I've got to do a better job staying here for my teammates, but it is what it is. And then he said, I'll probably see Foster in a game 7 sometime soon.
Wow. So he just automatically saying we won game 7 with somebody. Okay.
Is he insinuating something from the league's going to send Scott Foster in for a game 7?
Or he's just insinuating that they're good enough to where they're going to beat him.
Well, that's true. Look, yeah, that's true. That's definitely one way you can look at that comment. Well, anyways, that we'll see again. But I tell you what, that will be must-watch TV the next time Scott Foster's refereeing a Golden State game.
And I hate that. I really do.
I know.
Because it has nothing to do with the game.
Yep.
It has everything to do with it's being personal.
All right, let's move on to some of the scores from today. As we said, it's a busy day in the NBA, and with the holiday game starting early, we do have a final. How about this? Orlando at home crushing the Celtics 113-96. The Magic, watch out, they're 11-5 overall. They're 6-2 at home. They're just a game behind the Celtics in the standings.
You know what? You really can't look down at Orlando no more.
No.
I mean, we said last year, we looked at Orlando, was like, okay, they look like they can be something. This year, it looks like those young guys are saying, okay, you know what?
Yeah.
We seen what Sac did down there in the West. We're about to try to do the exact same thing here in the East. We're a bunch of young guys. We get up and down the floor. We play hard, and we're trying to change everything that's going on down here in Orlando. And I think they're getting it done.
They're doing a great job. They're off to a tremendous start. They're the upstart team in the Eastern Conference right now. All right, game underway. Suns leading the Grizz. No Kevin Durant in this game as he is sitting out with a foot situation. So he is out. The Grizz also getting ready to sign 2 more players to hardship exceptions. That's where it's going in Memphis right now.
They got more than hardship going on, boy. I tell you. Scott, and it's really sad too, because this is a team that was, at number 2 all year and was projected to be the number 1. And just for some bonehead stuff, some unforeseeable injuries, man, then taking them all the way out of the equation in less than 6 months.
It's unbelievable. They're 3-11 overall. They're 0-6 at home. They're about to be 0-7 at home when Phoenix closest is out here.
Wow. And, we know Ja still has that 25 game. Do we even know how long Smart's going to be out? Steven Adams is out indefinite, right?
Smart's supposed to be about a month, give or take.
And then Brandon Clark is due when?
I'd have to look his up, but it's not anytime soon that he's coming back.
Right. So you really don't see a silver lining in this cloud right now. It just seems like it's going to get darker.
No doubt. All right. Heat and Knicks. That's always a good old school rivalry when Miami goes to the Garden. Bulls and Raptors in the game. Who's going to start trading their players first here? We'll see how that shakes out. You got the Pistons and the Pacers. The Pistons have lost at least 10 in a row. They're 2-13. I want to say they've lost 12 in a row. They were 2-1 at one point, I want to say. But anyways, they're off to a terrible start. Pacers going the other direction, playing well at 8-6 right now. Nuggets and the Rockets. That'll be a good game. Denver on the road against Houston. The Rockets already have a win against Denver this year, so that'll be fun to watch.
The Rockets have taken off like a rocket.
They are.
No pun intended.
No doubt.
Houston,
they are a problem for everyone else.
Yes, they are. And Scott, I don't care how you feel about this guy, good, bad, or indifferent. Coach Ime, man, has got these guys playing at a high level. It isn't like they brought in a whole new roster and he has a new roster and he has, really turnkey them. No, he's still got those bunch of young guys down there. You bring in Dylan Brooks and maybe one other guy to put on your roster, and he's got these guys believing and playing at a very high level.
Yeah, no, he's done a tremendous job so far. The Rockets are over 500 right now. Wizards in Milwaukee. Let's see what else we've got. Wembanyama, his first trip to the Bay. He'll be in the Chase Center to take on the Warriors. And again, the Warriors are 7-9 right now. They're 2-6 at home.
Hey, they started off just smoking everybody. And then, like the NBA does, you cool off, you come back down to reality. And now you just right there in the mix with everybody else.
Yeah, no doubt. 2 of those wins against Sacramento.
Yeah, started off on fire.
Yep, no doubt. Pelicans and Clippers. This will be interesting. The Clippers have kind of found a groove after going 0-4 with Harden there. We'll see how they match up. This will be, to me, a really interesting matchup tonight because the Clippers are thought to be kind of small. Pelicans, as we know, they're big and they'll bang you around. Can they hold up to the physicality of the Pelicans?
I think they can because they have the star power to do it. When you have a Paul George, you have a Kawhi Leonard, you have a Russell Westbrook and a James Harden, that's a lot of star power right there. And, I think the way a lot of those guys play, let's say if you start trying to bully ball those guys, I look at their personalities and I don't see nobody in that 4 that's going to back down. I think every one of those guys that if you start trying to bully them and really play physical ball, that makes them even better because they take on the challenge and they gives you something extra.
Yep. All right. The game we're going to focus in when we come back, of course, Kings and Timberwolves, both teams 2-0 in the same bracket in the play-in. This is a big game tonight for a lot of reasons, and we'll focus in on what the Kings need to do tonight. It's game night right here on Sactown Sports 1140. Game night, as always, being brought to you by our good friends at National Garage Door. Call today for your basketball special, 916-638-4554. More of game night right here, Sactown Sports 1140.
I'm going to get some water.
All right. Go get your water, Henry.
High Flyer's going to get his water.
Yeah.
Kyle, you and I What's going on in the chat?
Well, first of all, you were correct. The Pistons have lost 12
Yeah, I
games
remember
in
them
a row.
starting off 2-1. I thought, you know what, the Pistons might be a team that could be better this year. Cunningham's totally healthy. Jalen Duren is a man he's a teenager in a man's body, pretty much.
Yeah.
He's 19 years
He's
old.
an NBA center at 19 years old.
Yes. They seemed healthy. Jaden Ivey.
The Thompson twins been playing well this year.
So what's going on in the Motor City?
The rest of the team is pretty thin. Like they still haven't built up that depth. I know they've been bad for like 2 years now, but they haven't really built up that depth that you come to expect from teams at the top of the league. I say this like I've been watching a lot of Pistons basketball. I really haven't.
No, I haven't
but
either. Just
that's my
highlights.
hypothesis because
Yeah.
the numbers look fine. The Thompson twin is going to be up there. I mean, he's not going to win Rookie of the Year, but he's going to be. He's going to have a rookie year. You know, they're feeling good about him the way that we felt good about Keegan last year. And granted, Keegan was on a winning team, but they feel good about the Thompson twin. But yeah, the Pistons are not good.
I know. Speaking of Keegan, hopefully the back is not too bad. Anytime you mention back, you always get a little worried.
Yeah, it was interesting that they said the back injury came in the Dallas game.
Right. It wasn't Monday night. It was Sunday.
Yeah. And then, was already aggravated. They had him guarding Zion, which wasn't the greatest idea.
That's not
in
a
the
good
world.
thing for a bad back. That's for sure. That's not going to help your back, high flyer.
I'm laughing because I'm
take some charges from Zion. How does that make your back feel?
It says Zion isn't the antidote, right? He isn't the prescription for a bad back.
But yeah, I was surprised by that. Obviously, he's going to be out, and it seems like their defense is going to take a step back just without him on the floor. Like you guys mentioned it in the last game on game night. He is their best defensive player at this point.
Mm-hmm.
I would presume.
Yeah. Well, speaking of matchups, and we'll get into it here when we come back on air too. But interesting, Kyle, your thoughts on what the matchups might look for the Kings tonight with the two big men.
Yeah, I mean, I would presume that it's Sabonis and Gobert because Towns likes to live more on the perimeter. But I mean, if it's going to be the same starting lineup as last game, then I think you have no choice but to go Harrison Barnes on Cat, which is not ideal, but the alternative is Duarte, and I don't think that's a winning combination.
Duarte will play. Herter will play too. What do you think on that one, High Flyer?
I don't know. I mean, they might have to go outside the box,
Mm-hmm.
and this might be a situation to where we might see a lot more of JaVale McGee and Sabonis on the floor together.
Okay.
Vehicles. Now through Monday, shop your truck headquarters, Folsom Lake Ford. See dealer for details.
Welcome back into Game Night, final segment before Kings Live pregame comes your way. Kings and Timberwolves tonight. Game Night brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Stockton. Check out their full line of luxury vehicles at mbofstockton.com. All right, in the chat room, and we appreciate everybody watching us there on YouTube. We were discussing matchups tonight, and obviously when you've got the two bigs like you do in Gobert and Big Cat, how do you go after High Flyer? Sabonis probably gets Gobert, and Barnes probably gets Big Cat to start.
Ooh, I mean, do you really want to see that?
What else would you rather see?
Oh man, I mean, I honestly think, it can be a quick catch-22, but I honestly think Cat is way too big for Harrison Barnes.
I do too. But I just what would the matchup be on without Keegan there? And
here's the deal.
Yeah.
I think Cat's basketball IQ with Mike Conley running the helm is not going to let Harrison Barnes just be able to float while Cat play outside.
Mm-hmm.
I think they'll move Rudy Gobert probably up to the free throw line and put Cat down in the low post and try to punish whichever small forward the Kings try to run at him.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and obviously there'll be rotations throughout the game. When Alex Len comes in, and if Len and Sabonis are on the floor at the same time, then who gets Gobert and who gets Big Cat in that scenario?
Depending upon how Big Cat is rolling,
Mm-hmm.
because I have no problem with putting Sabonis on Rudy Gobert and letting JaVale McGee use some of those 6 fouls on Karl Anthony Towns, try to weigh him down, slow him down, just try to wear him out a little bit. I have no problem with that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, There'll be multiple people going at both of those players throughout the game. For the Kings, it's the 6th game of the road trip. There's no excuses. We understand all of that. I'm just listing facts. They've been on the road for over a week. They had to spend Thanksgiving in Minnesota. Does that give them a little bit more motivation to finish strong, or are they worn out for this final game tonight?
Scott, I mean,
does it matter at all?
I hear this as a media personality.
Yep.
But my basketball side kicks in.
Yep.
And I'm like, everything that you just said, who cares?
Cap.
Who cares? This is a part of the game.
Yeah.
All right. 6-game road trip. It's not like only the Sacramento Kings have these. Every team in the league has it. Every team goes through it. So, all of that, well, what about this? What about that? No, it's another basketball game. You have to go out and win, and you have to compete. You go out there and you give it everything you got. If you win, fine. If you don't, at least you can look yourself in the face in the mirror and say, I gave it my all and we just lost. All of that, well, it's been hard on the road, and he hasn't slept in his bed for quite a couple of days. Oh, no, man, I ain't trying to hear all that. It's a basketball game. Go out there, play your heart out, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, no, and that's the way it should be. Obviously, we didn't see that on Monday night, or at least it certainly didn't seem that way for the Kings. They did rebound Wednesday night. What do you think? Did something wake up inside of them in the second half on Wednesday night, or what was the turnaround there?
I thought the pace changed. I thought the Kings were able to get up and down the floor a little bit faster, because that was the only thing, Scott, that they were going to have at their disposal to be able to combat that strength and length. The only thing you can combat that with is speed.
All right, game night being brought to you by Oak Grove Dodge Ram. Today is Black Friday. Don't forget to check out their sales event. All right, High Flyer, anything else to look for tonight?
Yeah, just that one matchup. I mean, who are they going to start out on Karl Anthony Towns, and how is that going to work? Because if the Minnesota Timberwolves elect to let Harrison Barnes guard Karl Anthony Towns out at the three-point line, and Karl Anthony Towns plays out there, I think they play right into the Sacramento Kings' hands.
Could be a long night. All right, it is Black Friday. So, Henry, is this normally a big shopping day for you? Are we keeping you out of the stores?
Yeah, man, I'm broke, man. I ain't got it. I mean, I was about to ask you, let me hold something.
I was going to ask you to help me out.
No, man. I need some of that UC Davis money you make.
The huge Aggie money?
Yeah, give me a chip off some of that Aggie money.
Hey, the one thing we do know, the T-Wolves are feeling good because everybody got their money, right?
Hey, yeah, everybody
we were told by Nas Reed they're ready to play tonight.
Hey, Nas, y'all need one more dog, because I need to get my bag too. I need to get my bag up.
All right, that's going to do it for game nights. Again, coming up next, Kings Live pregame. I'll be in for Jason Ross. The High Flyer will be here as well. The G-Man will join us. Kings and Timberwolves. It's a big play-in game tonight. Both teams 2-0 in their bracket. The winner most likely will win the bracket and advance on into the Final 8. Thanks for listening to the Game Night right here, Sactown Sports 1140.
All right, we're good. Thank you, YouTube people. Well, let's have fun. Let's light the beam and get to 3-0 in the play-in tournament.
You know what time it is. It's time